74 foot, 5 crew. The easiest description is we drag nets across the bottom of the ocean floor and pick up the prawns that we find. I went into it through the TAFE Certificate 2 in the fishing operations, and it was a fun course, 5 days a week, and it was really hands-on. You've got everything on the boat that you'd have here, except for fast food, so it is a healthy lifestyle, and you never go hungry. A lot of the guys judge their cooks by how soon they repeat a meal.
Just chop it finely into little cubes, put it quickly into a smallest pan you can find with a little bit of water, cook it till it's soft, and then it's going to be roughly mashed. Not mashed into a puree, but just really roughly chopped.
Yeah, have a look at the colour. That's a little bit more, and try not to use an egg slice when you're using a pan.
Everyone cooked different things, so they knew what you had cooked, and if it was bad, they would know about it. I was lazy at home before I left, you'd leave stuff all over your bedroom. But it's such a small space, and it is everyone's home, that you can't leave stuff lying out. It's very important from a health and safety point of view to have the galley clean. You can't afford anyone to be sick out there. Unless you're a really strong, muscly person, you need someone to lift your tank on for you. One person helps them get their tank on and vice versa. Help them buckle up. Don't forget the air.
How's that?
Everything's in order. You sort of feel a bit funny at first because you've got all this stuff on you and gauges and your tank for a starter. The thicker the wetsuit, the more uncomfortable it is. Sometimes you won't realise, but your air goes down quickly. The first time I got in the water, I chewed through my oxygen because I was just sort of...
What was that? That was my regular.
You've got to tell yourself, relax. There's 3 instructors and a whole group of people. Nothing can really go wrong. We went diving around a jetty and there's bicycles, fishing rods and knives, and there's the odd starfish and little pretty fish. Don't touch anything you're unsure of, and also stay with someone. It's really easy to get lost, especially if the visibility is really bad. The main problem you'll get with your engine room at sea is oil. If you've got oil leaks, everything's hydraulic on a boat, or your winches, all that sort of stuff, so there's a lot of oil going around. Start with the fuel pump, and then you can find your way down to the distributor and then to the spark plugs, and if you follow the lines you'll find all the parts. If it doesn't work, you've got to pull it apart and do it again and really remember how you did it. A lot of people refer to us as feral, especially trawlers, and it's not true. That's the olden day. The government has since come through and cleaned up a lot, and the fishermen have realised that if they're not running a good boat, they're not going to catch any prawns and you don't get any money from it.
VN60I, Fremantle Sea Rescue. This is VHW5537 Maritime Image. Do you read over?
Maritime Image, VN60I, Fremantle Sea Rescue. Go ahead.
We are doing fishing exercises approximately 5 miles northwest of the Fairway Buoy. We have 10 people on board and our ETA is 15:30 at Fremantle Fishing Boat Harbour. Over.
VN60I standing by.
Cheers.
Maritime Image standing by on channel
Maritime
16.
Image standing by on channel 16.
Over.
Over.
When you're at TAFE learning, it is important to actually listen to your lecturers. They do know what they're talking about. Most of them have been there and done that. And it takes a while to get used to walking around on a boat. Everything's shorter and you've got to go through hatches and there's stairs and it's rough. So you do get a few bruises for the first couple of days. You come back very toned and muscular because you are always moving, using your legs and your arms. So it is good for your fitness. You'll have hiccups when someone doesn't like what they're doing, or if someone's off with the ferries that day, it'll slow the whole system down. And if you don't like someone, you have to get over it and still cooperate.
Yeah, all we have to do is go get that rope off. So.
It is quite labour intensive and it is 24 hours a day, so you can't be slack. You've got to be able to get dirty. There's no princessing around. And being a girl can be a bit difficult as well. It is quite a traditionally male industry.
Side, yeah.
To be getting orders from a female, they normally don't like very much. The nets are attached to boards which come off the end of the boom. They used to separate the net, that's what drags along the bottom, and they angle right, and with the water drag they open the net up.
Onto the winch. Other way. Turn the winch on. Get down. Bring it down. Bring it.
Trolling is exciting because you never know what's going to come up in the net. You get sharks and stingrays and all sorts of weird fish.
Sort away.
And it just becomes like a second nature thing just to sort through a whole pile of stuff and keep what you want. You could be awake for 3 days straight, standing on your feet, not eating very much at all, and you have to cope with that. The nets get beaten up so much, they're down on the bottom of the ocean floor 24 hours a day for 20 days at a time, and then when your bat's gone to port, you've got to bring them up and clean them, and they can be pretty grotty. If you have a hole in your net, you won't catch any prawns because they'll all escape. It's a bit overwhelming when you see this massive big net, but you've just got to try and remember that it's only made of a tiny mesh, so it's just thousands of those, so you've just got to bring it back to basics and you can deal with it. The cray pot making, that was funny. A lot of people can't use a hammer and nails. A lot of people came away with pebble fingers and bruises and all that sort of stuff. You have to know how to read instructions and follow them without being too eager to finish, because a lot of people miss the minor details. Cutting wood too short, and then you've got all this spare wood you don't need and can't use. You've got to make sure your angles and all your measurements are right, otherwise your pot just won't turn out at all and you won't catch many crayfish. Cray pots are attached to rope which have two buoys on the end of them, so they're fairly easy to spot. The boat will come up very slowly to the buoy and the winchman will grapple, pull the line in and hook it up to the winch. It'll get caught in your tilt tray, which flips it up so you don't have to actually drag it from the boat. You have to measure every crayfish with a gauge for it to be legal size. Anything too small has to go back. If you keep the little ones, there will never be any big ones. Every now and again you'll get a pot with a broken slat and you'll just have spare slats and spare nails and immediately just bang another slat on. Once you've picked all the pots up and got them all rebaited, you'll go and drop them back off at their sites.
Yep. Yep.
Every 2 years or so, a boat will get brought in and put up on the tarmac at a boat harbour. We'll use the high pressure hose and the paint scraper to get the barnacles and slime off. There's a technique to hosing and scraping, otherwise you'll come out drenched in the end. If you're hosing downwind and scraping, you'll generally stay dry.
He takes it safely and he passes it back. Then the way he's holding it, I actually draw the knife towards his hand and cut his fingers off. Oh, you don't do it like that either. This knife is sharp. Now take the knife, go through the motion. Thank you. Okay, you've got two. Use them. You're going to go from this corner to that corner. The tip of it at the top corner of the stone, and we glide down. So tip to heel. Now it says 10 degrees. What does 10 degrees mean? That's 90. Half of that's 45. Half of that's 22 and a half. Half of that's 11. So we're getting close to the 10 degrees. So off you go. Get started.
Despite what you think, the knife theory classes do actually help. You know, you would think that most people know how to handle sharp objects, but they don't. Or you'll get the childish people that pretend they do and pretend they know everything about a knife. I know lots of guys that have lost fingers.
Just hold him to keep the pressure on the line. It's all you got to do. It'll come in sooner or later. Whereabouts is the Jeep?
At first I was a bit funny about sticking a knife through a fish's head to kill it and then slitting its throat so it bleeds. You just try not to think about it. Everyone does it. If you're going to eat it, you're not wasting it.
There is a large, medium and smallish. I want you to take one of each. Go and get some weights.
5.244. 5.192.
Now lay your fish up and you're going to be assessed from this stage here, so just proceed at your rate.
Especially when you work as a filleter, you get paid by kilo. So if you're leaving fish on the skeleton, you're not getting paid for it. You're better off taking your time until you can actually do it properly. I mean, I've seen guys out there go, yeah, I can fillet a fish, and they'll leave half the meat on the fish.
You've gone way too far down the tail. You probably should have stopped about here somewhere, maybe even further. Now that bone there, you think that's an interference?
That's a bone.
You think so? All along there you've got pin bones, right? Feel them all through there.
1.318.
Don't worry about speed because it won't make any difference. It's got to be fast.
It's important to clean the area after every time you've processed, otherwise you'll be mixing old fish with a new fish, and that's where you risk getting bad seafood sent out. So you do have to scrub down after every time, and you pick up the bulk of it, and then you rinse it, and then you scrub it, and then you rinse it, and then you dry it. So it is a long process, but once you've done it a few times, you quicken the pace.
Lee, 5.304, 1.618. There are your figures. Now, the average for the fillet, like I said to you in the past, is about 39 to about 42%. Just that little bit of meat makes a considerable amount of percentages difference.
Most people that are out there love what they're doing and they all want to drive. I want to go up the line and get all my tickets, hopefully, drive oil tankers down the coast and stuff like that. You learn a lot about yourself. You grow up quite quickly as well. You haven't got a mother or a father to go and crawl to if something goes wrong. If you can handle being at sea, you can handle most things.